Good morning, Vice President Fielder. I see you're on. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I actually have had a tough time getting him to emails or anything. Like 3 days of whack, and then first it's not reminded him that we fired up at 9 this morning. But you're back.
I'd say feel free to move on.
If he doesn't, I will do the move in for a tight take. Oh, good morning, Mr. President. How are you?
I can hear chit chat.
I didn't mean to hit you with a tough one first thing in the morning.
Okay.
Good morning. The public meeting of the Montana Public Service Commission is called to order. I am Commission President Jeff Welborn. With me are Commissioners Molnar and Bukasek in the room, and remotely, I believe we have
Vice President Fielder's here.
Vice President Fielder, and is Commissioner Pinocci joining us online? He may be joining us. All right. For the record, the time is 9 a.m. The date is February 24th of 2026. We are conducting this public meeting from the Bollinger Room at the Montana Public Service Commission in Helena, Montana, and by Zoom. Please note that this session is being recorded and live streamed on the Commission's YouTube channel. The purpose of this meeting is to hear a brief presentation about and receive public comments on the coal strip transmission wildlife mitigation plan, which has been assigned Commission docket number 2025.11.083. The Commission encourages all commenters to review the coal strip transmission plan, which can be found in the Commission's online ready portal under docket numbered the same 2025.11.083. Answers to many of your questions may be found in the detailed explanations and the tables included in the plan. I will now ask Commission's legal staff, David Smith, if he would kindly summarize the docket.
Thank you, President Welborn. Better? Okay. Thank you, President Welborn. I will begin with a brief summary of House Bill 490. The 2025 Montana Legislature enacted House Bill 490, which created a new process for regulated utilities in Montana to submit wildfire mitigation plans to the Commission for review and approval. House Bill 490 shields utilities from certain types of wildfire liability if the utility substantially follows an approved wildfire mitigation plan. House Bill 490 also creates a rebuttable presumption that a utility who has begun implementing its approved wildfire mitigation plan acted reasonably in operating its electric transmission and distribution facilities. The rebuttable presumption may be overcome by other evidence. House Bill 490, Section 3, Paragraph 4.
Yeah, it's already started. The wildfire mitigation. Mhm.
Northwestern's Coal Strip Transmission System, CTS, Wildfire Mitigation Plan must include a description of the following: areas in which CTS has electric facilities or electric transmission and distribution activities which may be subject to a heightened risk of wildfire. The strategies and programs of CTS will use to inspect, maintain, repair, and operate its electric facilities. These strategies and programs Northwestern will use to perform vegetation management. The strategies for modification or upgrades to electric facilities and preventive programs CTS will employ to reduce the risk of its electric facilities igniting a wildfire. CTS's strategies and methods for de-energizing power lines and modifying electric facility operations to mitigate potential wildfires. The methods CTS intends to use to restore its electrical system in the event systems are de-energized for the prevention of a wildfire. The estimated incremental costs associated with implementing the plan, including system improvements and upgrades, community outreach and public awareness efforts before and during a wildfire season, and CTS's participation with state or local wildfire protection plans. Under House Bill 490, the Commission must allow public comment on Northwestern's plan for a period of 45 days, hold at least one public meeting, and issue its decision within 60 days of the close of the public comment period. House Bill 490, Section 2, Paragraph 4. The Commission must review and approve Northwestern's wildfire mitigation plan if the Commission determines the plan, 1, contains all the required elements listed above, 2, is in the public interest, and 3, reasonably balances the incremental costs of implementing the plan with the risk of a potential wildfire. House Bill 490, Section 2, Paragraph 6. If the plan does not meet the above requirements, the Commission must identify the deficiencies in the plan, provide Northwestern with required modifications in writing, and give Northwestern the opportunity to correct deficiencies and resubmit the plan for approval. House Bill 490, Section 2, Paragraph 4, CI, and 2i. The wildfire mitigation plan approval process is not a contested case proceeding. Turning now to the present docket, Northwestern filed its coal strip transmission wildfire mitigation plan with the Commission on November 7, 2025. Northwestern asserts the plan includes all the components required by House Bill 490, reflects a reasonable balance between costs and wildfire risk, and serves the public interest in safeguarding Montana communities. The Commission issued a notice of public hearing and opportunity for comment on Northwestern's coal strip transmission system wildfire mitigation plan on February 13, 2026. The notice informed the public that the Commission would conduct a public meeting on the plan held on today here in the Bollinger Room at the Commission's office. The purpose of that meeting was for public to hear a presentation of the plan by Northwestern and to listen to comments from the public about Northwestern Energy's plan. The public notice also triggers the 45-day comment period under House Bill 490, which ends on Thursday, March 30th, 2026. Thus, after today's listening session, the Commission will continue to accept public comment in writing or by phone until March 30, 2026. To provide public comment by phone, please call the Commission at 800-646-6150. You can also email your comments to the commission at pschelp@montana.gov or submit them online through the commission's online Ready portal under docket number 2025.11.083. The commission and its staff will review all timely public comments when preparing its approval of or identification of deficiencies in Northwest Energy's coal strip transmission system wildfire mitigation plan. The commission will also consider comments from the Montana Department of Natural Resources and Montana Disaster and Emergency Services, both of whom are required to review Northwestern's coal strip transmission system wildfire mitigation plan and provide comments and recommendations about the aspects of the plan within their respective jurisdictions. House Bill 490, Section 2, Paragraph 5. The commission will issue its final review of Northwestern's coal strip transmission system wildfire mitigation plan on or before May 29, 2026. President Wellborn, this concludes my summary of the matter. Thank you.
Thank you, David. And I would also just like to remind any person with a disability needing a reasonable accommodation to provide a comment can also call our commission hotline at 800-646-6150. And I would also remind everybody to note that all comments will be a matter of public record, and personal or private information should not be included in those comments. Madam Secretary, I'd also like the record to show that Commissioner Pinocci has joined us. Again, we are here today to hear a brief presentation of the coal strip transmission system's wildfire mitigation plan and listen to the public comments on that plan. If certain technical questions arise, I may defer to our commission's legal counsel. We will now ask Northwestern to deliver its presentation. Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, President Wellborn, commissioners. Thank you for having us today. As stated, we're here to introduce what would be our second wildfire mitigation plan. With this plan, it completes, if you will, coverage of the total assets for Northwestern Energy around the subject of wildfire mitigation and meeting the requirements of House Bill 490. I have with me today a couple of gentlemen that first will give you a bit of an overview of the CTS system. And then finally, another gentleman will cover the wildfire mitigation plan particulars and how we believe it meets all of the requirements stated within House Bill 490. So with that, I'm going to turn this over first to Eddie Stewart. He's our Director of Transmission, and we'll start with an overview of the CTS system. Thanks, Eddie.
No, thank you, President Wellborn and commissioners for today. Jason, thank you. Just one correction. I'm the manager.
Oh,
I'm the manager, not the director, but yes.
thank you. Tom's not here.
I know. We go that. So I'm going to go over just the history of the CTS system. A lot of it's going to be based on the characteristics of the facility. So if we can just go to that next slide.
Mr. President, just could you advise the speaker to please pull the mic up close?
How was that? That's better.
Thank you.
All right. So the history of the CTS, again, we got an image of the state of Montana. There is a line from Colstrip all the way to Garrison, and I'll touch on the colors and the specific areas here in a minute. But construction of the CTS Started in 1975 to 76. Then the other facility was in 1981 to 1983. There's approximately 2,040 steel lattice towers on that facility. It's approximately 410,000 glass insulators, substation terminals at Colstrip, Broadview, and Garrison. The Townsend area is just a location. It's a steel lattice tower where it transitions from the CTS to BPA. I'll cover more of that here in a little bit. The point of ownership, like I mentioned, to the BPA is at Townsend. Half of the protective relay is at Garrison. The other half on that facility is at Broadview. At that location, I just want to touch base so just on the transition there, the east side of Highway 287. It does transition at a steel tower. Folks that have been down that highway, you'll see the R2 towers, guide structures. It transitions to one steel lattice tower, and that's where it takes place. No substation, nothing of that nature at that area. Of our two facilities, our 500 kV, approximately 248 miles per line, approximately 115 miles from Colstrip to Broadview, and approximately 133 miles from Broadview to Townsend. So pretty lengthy facility. I got next slide, please. CTS ownership. Northwestern Energy is the owner operator of this entire facility from Colstrip to Broadview up to the Townsend transition point. Pacific Core, Portland General Electric, and Puget Sound Energy, along with the Vista Corporation, are the other partners. Ownership of Northwestern is about 33%. General construction is shown in the image there. You can see our lattice towers. They are a guide structure. Dual statics, mentioned the toughened glass insulators. Counterpoise system we have with our 4-bundle 795 Acer conductor. They're all separated by phase spacers. And all those lattice towers do sit on a concrete pier foundation. Landscape that you'll notice is mostly grassland. This is pretty similar from Colstrip all the way to Townsend. There are areas, obviously, with some minimal timber, but mainly it's all going to be a grassland type environment. A lot of these spans, as you can see, they're going to stretch out into 1,300 feet. So a lot of that conductor is going to be in a position, it's definitely going to be up above any vegetation that you guys can see here in the picture. I think it's probably the main point I want to make with that is everything is so far up above any vegetation that it's going to be very hard for any vegetation to get into it, which makes this a very reliable and trustworthy system for us. Okay, next slide. Unique characteristics of this facility. It was designed with NESC heavy weather loading, which is for Montana, we normally design to a medium weather loading. And really what the difference is how much ice and wind is put on that facility. The varying tower heights of our transmission line here is 55 feet to 140 feet above ground. I mentioned earlier bundled conductor with the average span of 1,300 feet and a high fault sensitivity at the connection to the generation unit. And again, another good picture of the vegetation that is near our facility there. Again, low grass, very minimal timber. All right. And this next slide here shows a lot of things here. But the visual I want to really point out here is these are Northwestern Energy linemen that are on this facility. This is something that we do every year. Right now, we're changing out a dead-end insulator on this particular facility. Yes, it is energized. But the main point I want to point out here is, yes, these are our linemen. They could be at your house working on a meter one day and then up on our 500 kV system doing this type of work. Really phenomenal. Our crews are very well versed, right, as you can see. This is a great option for a lot of our linemen. And just want to point out how special this is, not only for us at Northwestern, but our linemen. They really take great pride in this type of work. And that is all that I have to present today.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart.
Thank you, Ed. We'll move now into the actual particulars of this high reliability system. You're going to hear that because it's so resilient in the way it's constructed, the way it's performed, the way we've historically maintained this system, that there isn't a lot to do to these assets, even the way it operates. So how it meets House Bill 490's requirements, I'm going to turn this over to John Carmody. He is our Director of Asset Management. Again, sorry for that, Eddie. So I'm going to turn this over to him so that we can he can explain how we check off each one of these requirements that were summarized earlier. Thanks, John.
Good morning.
Can you hear me?
Maybe pull it a little closer if it
closer?
works up.
Can you hear it now?
Vice President, can you hear online?
Can you hear me?
I can hear, but your voice is kind of soft, and soft voices tend to trail off once the presentation gets going. So I'd say put that microphone right up to your mouth if you could.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me now? I've
Yes,
never
that's better.
accused of
Thank
having
you.
a soft voice, so this isn't something new. Next slide, please. I'll keep kind of leaning. This is kind of the slide that we kick it off. We've got a number of objectives that go into our plan, and this should seem very familiar because it was the same objectives that was at our original wildfire plan that we submitted that you guys have approved. The 4 basic objectives is to manage or reduce ignition potential, system monitoring and environmental monitoring to watch the burnabilities, the vegetation management, and he's already mentioned the vegetation in and around the lines, and the last piece is the communications and outreach. Those were the 4 planned objectives of our wildfire plan. And over on the left side, you can see the 5 different categories that we've kind of bucketed the approach into in order to meet these 4 overall objectives. And they are situational awareness, operational practices, system preparedness, vegetation management again, and communication and outreach. And I'll walk through each one of those individually and talk what we're going to do there. But I think the next slide starts to address one of the first items. Next slide, please. We use the infrastructure resiliency model. This is where we are looking at the 500, trying to identify where areas of heightened risk could be for the fire activity. This should be very familiar as well because it was the exact same approach we used on our wildfire plan. So you got 4 different quadrants, and it guides you on what mitigation strategies you can use as you go through the plan. And it's again looks at probability and consequence to roll up to risk. And our probability, as we did in future plan or the last plan, is based on the construction of the line, the performance of the line, the impacts of weather on the line, and that all rolls in to help create the probability. And then the consequences are driven by the land base that's there, what kind of housing densities, those kind of impacts roll up to help us develop the consequence. We broke the segment, excuse me, I gotta get a drink. We broke the 500 up just like we did our transmission into 5-mile sections so that we can then get down and stay focused in different areas. And so you're not trying to do an activity through the whole line, you'd be focused down into that area of heightened concern. Next slide, please. So here is how the analysis went on the 500, which is somewhat what we expected because Eddie already mentioned that it was built very robustly. So the design there, the probability and the design side of it has really taken that into consideration for potential of outages. And then he talked about the right of ways and stuff on the consequence. It's a lot of farm ground or grassland out there, not a lot of trees or infrastructure in around it. So you can see about, 70% of the entire 500 fell into the lowest quadrant down over here in the thing. So low probability, low consequence. And then there's about 30% of the line that fell into low probability again because of the designs and the maintenance there, and a little bit of the consequence that's there as it goes through the different terrain out there. So next slide. So couple of things, as I said, there were the 5 categories that are out there. Situational awareness is there. Where we're going to do this is we already stood up a situational awareness team for the existing 500. For the existing wildfire plan. We're going to add the 500 piece into that team. So they're going to do weather monitoring. We have both the static model with the dashboard that's telling us the overall consequences. And now we have a dynamic model that's coming from the weather that's being fed in, the wildfire intensity for that day or that time of day. That all feeds into our dynamic model, which helps us assess where we are in the overall performance. There's additional data that'll be brought in from our existing plan. We'll be bringing in additional data that corridors the 500, follows the 500 along there. So you have that information for that situational team on a daily basis to roll up, and in even hourly basis, sometimes roll up the information and see what the sensitivity is out there for a potential fire if it got started. So also in the situational awareness, as we've been rolling out in the wildfire, we'll have a couple of strategically placed cameras out to start watching to see if we can see that, and continue to add those as we roll out that plan over the next couple of years. Next one is operational practices. The operational practices is basically how the day-to-day, how we run the Rhine. We got a team already from existing that's out there following up on our momentaries, following up on our sustained outages, doing the investigations to see what happened, why it happened, and what we need to do in order to take care of that. The 500, again, is an incremental roll into that group, and they'll continue to do that. The CTS relay settings, protection settings, they're already very sensitive from cold strip to Broadview is already on a non-reclose sensitive setting. So if you get an action, the line trips out. And on from Broadview to Garrison, they're on different settings and they change throughout the year, but we're working with our partner there, BPA, on that and the settings overall from that standpoint. Well, again, part of the overall wildfire, the wildfire team, they're watching for conditions out there when we need to make operational adjustments, aka we're not going to work on the line today because the wind's blowing and it's really dry. So they make those adjustments to their overall practices and make that recommendation. Am I still speaking loud enough? Okay.
Yes, it's coming through clearly. Thank
All right.
you.
All right. Sounds good. So situational preparedness, as Jason and Eddie mentioned, the line has been a very good, robust design. It's been performing well. So we're going to continue our aerial patrols. We fly the line, we look for problems, and then come back and fix it. We're going to do some enhanced assessments on the line. As one of the recommendations is to go out and use drones, or go out and actually climb the towers and look at the smaller pieces, looking to see if there's any wear in the equipment that would set off something that we need to be looking for going forward. So part of the thing is to go out, do 10% a year for the next 10 years, looking at the overall underlying components to make sure they're where we want them to be. Continue the cleaning that we do out there on the line. And then one of the other things that we're going to add in and recommend is the corrosion assessment. Eddie showed you, I got a steel tower, I got a concrete base, I got guy wires there, but go out and manage that vegetation where the guy wires are coming into the ground so it's sterile around there and you don't have any potential for if something come down that ground wire for a spark to start that. So we'll go out and do that vegetation there. And then the other one that we're looking at is the avian perch that, again, the birds try to land up on top when they take off. They sometimes drop some scat on it and it gets the insulators dirty. So you have to go clean them, or trying a new perch and rolling that out across that. And so that'll be going forward on that. The vegetation management, again, the good thing that we found out and we expected on this line is we got a great right of way. The overall right of way is in excellent health right now. We're going to continue to maintain that right of way going forward, continuing to watch for the vegetation underneath the underbrush underneath the line to make sure we're managing that. And again, continue to do the vegetation in and around the counterpoise. So that's the additional vegetation that's out there. Again, not a lot that we found that needed to be really upgraded from that. And then the final piece is the communication outreach, and that's our peer-to-peer utilities. You guys are probably missing Nate Linder. Well, Nate's already down at a conference right now on a wildfire, working with some of the agencies and our other peers and understanding that. So he's down there on that. And then the public safety outreach as we continue to collaborate with the different government agencies, whether it's the fire departments, the communities, or even the state agencies as we continue to work with there on that. So, and then the last piece is, I think most of you are aware, we're going to continue the wildfire summits, bring that 500 in and talk about that when we do our annual summit so that people are aware of the differences between the 500 and the other transmission system and how to go about responding to that. So those are kind of the key takeaways that we recommended to the organization when we put the 500 kV plan together. And now I'll kick it back to Mr. Merkel to wrap it up.
Thank you, Mr. Carmody.
Thank you, President Wellborn, commissioners. As I think from just final comments perspective, I can't underscore enough that these particular assets, incredibly reliable, high resilience in how they were constructed. The fact of the matter is the plan's pretty thin. There's just not a lot that needs to be done from a wildfire mitigation standpoint. Even the operation of the line, by comparison to our other assets that we moved to an EPSS, which is Enhanced Power Line Safety Settings, we moved to that. Since the inception, the lines between Colstrip and Garrison have always operated at that sensitive setting. And we do that to protect the generators at Colstrip. So we're already operating at that level. We have high resiliency assets that operate incredibly reliable. I appreciate that you approved our first plan that covers so many of our assets. By far, that is much, much, much more complex than this particular plan. As the owner operator, we encourage you to approve this plan. We believe that the incremental costs that we do intend to do, particularly around some additional cathodic protection investigations to ensure that those particular structures continue to operate with such high reliable performance. And then additionally, the things that we want to do as a company to assure that we understand what the weather is doing at every hour of the year. Oddly, we've had this particular year, we've had weather events in January and February. We're not normally accustomed to that. But since we've put together this wildfire team, and John mentioned Nate Linder, a few years back, the company did invest in developing a portion of its organization that solely focuses on managing all of our assets in high wildfire threat times. Nate Linder is our director of that group. He's the director of wildfire operations. So with that, that's our presentation. We're hoping that you see the wisdom in what we're doing and what we're doing to protect not only our systems, but most importantly, the properties and the communities and the people of this great state. So with that, if you have any questions, President Wellborn, we're open for questions.
We're going to move on to, I don't believe so. We're going to move on to public comment. Is there any public commenters in the room? I don't have anyone on my list. Tracy, are there any signed up online? All right. Should there have been public commenters today, that we were not going to have a question and answer format, I would remind for anybody that may be tracking along that there is still time up until March 30th to make public comments. And as our legal staff alluded to earlier, there are several ways you can do that, but written comments can be submitted to the commission, box 202-601 here in Helena, 59620, or by email at the pschelp.montana.gov, and you can also submit it on the online ready portal under docket number 2025.11.083. And I will reiterate, any person with a disability needing a reasonable accommodation can also provide comment. Just call the commission at 800-646-6150, and someone can help you get set up for that. Thank you for your time and attention to this matter today. The time is now 9:35 a.m. I appreciate your presentation, and thank you, David, for your overview of this as well. And this meeting is now adjourned.